You got to think about that, but it's...
Tell me what, going on a show day by day, has it ever happened to you, what's happening to me now? What am I going to ask this man now?
No. No. Sorry to hear that, Mario. That never happened to me. I was always able to think on my feet and to come up with a question, even if the question were only why. You know, you could ask why all day long.
Yeah.
Because why, it's impossible to answer a question that begins with why in one word. And when you ask a question that begins with why, the person being asked it is forced to think. You have to think. If you ask a question that begins with did, you can answer that in one word. Did you go there? Yes.
Yeah.
Did you do this? No.
Why did you go there?
But why did you do this has to be answered with more than one word, and therefore has to be thought out. And what you want as a guest, what I wanted in a guest were 5 things. Four things really. The ability to explain what they do very well. Passion for what they do.
Yeah.
A sense of humor, hopefully self-deprecating, and a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, a little bit of anger. So if you had a little bit of anger, self-deprecating, you can laugh at yourself, a passion for what you do, an ability to explain what you do very well. It didn't matter what your profession was. You could be a professor of psychology or a ballet dancer. If you have those 4 things, you're going to be interesting. And you pray for it in most guests. You know, it's hard to get it in all guests, and it's up to the interviewer to bring out the best in that. It's what made Frank Sinatra was a great guest. It was hard to get him, and he had all 4 of those things. He could put you on a stage. Bill Clinton has it. He could take you into the room where a decision is being made. He had passion. He has passion. He looks you in the eye. You felt the drama of the moment. And there's nothing like that when you get a guest like that. Because then you can just, God, it's manna from heaven.
Yeah.
You know, you want, but then you get the bad guest. Oh my God.
It's
the bad
curse
guest
from hell.
The worst. The worst I think I ever had was Phyllis Grant. Phyllis Grant. She was Rock Hudson's wife. Now, Rock Hudson, it turned out later, we all discovered, was gay. He died of AIDS, but he was married once when he was young, and she had never done an interview. And we got her. Yes, Rock Hudson's wife. He had just died. What a story. And we learned that day, never play up something too big.
Yeah.
Coming, Phyllis Grant, the inside story of Rock Hudson. Tune in tonight, 9 Eastern, Larry King Live. We're all excited, everyone's hipped up. Phyllis Grant, she walks in, she's ready to go on. She was in a nursing home, she was old now. She sat down, oh, Phyllis Grant, Phyllis Grant, Phyllis Grant, Rock Hudson. So, Phyllis, a great pleasure. Thank you so much for coming. Huge people tuning in. How'd you meet Rock Hudson? I was the secretary for his agent, and we met when he visited his agent. And what happened? We dated a few times, and we fell in love, we got married. And how was the marriage? It was fine. Why'd you break up? Well, you know, he had a very busy life, and he had movies, and I sort of wanted to stay at home, so we broke up. I look up at the clock, it's 3 minutes after 9. She's on till 10. So now, the crux of it, now we get to the meat of it. How did you feel when you found your reaction when you found out he had AIDS? Terrible. Terrible. Did you call him? No. Did you know he was gay? No. How did you feel when you found out he was gay? I was surprised. Why? He was a good husband. Now it's 5 after 9. I swear, now to get through that hour, and I did the whole hour.
Yeah.
We took questions. It was unbelievable. Nothing against the poor woman. It's just that she was married to him for 1.5 years. It was 40 years ago. She had never talked to him in those 40 years. She had not kept up with him, didn't know he was gay, and was sad that he had AIDS.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I couldn't do anything with that, and I struggled through for the entire hour. It was just, sometimes you can take a guest that's really bad and change him around by being good at interviewing. Yeah. With her, I couldn't do anything. But I had a guest once. There's an organization called ACES. ACES are fighter pilots. Fighter pilots are alone in their plane, and they go up and they have air battles. I don't know if that goes on anymore in war, but there were air battles. And there were American ACES, and now there's international ACES. There's ACES from all countries who have fighter pilots who fought in war. And to be an ace, you had to have knocked down 5 enemy planes. If you knocked down 5 enemy planes, that means you went up in the sky alone, other planes were in the sky, you knocked down 5, you're an ace. And they have a convention every year in which aces come from all over the world and often find out that they fought against each other, that they were in the same battles. It was really intriguing. So one of these conventions is in Miami one year where I'm working, and we find out that we've got an ace living in Miami, an American ace who shot down 9 German planes in World War II. An ace. And he's coming to do my show, my radio show. And I did a show from 9 to 12, and he was on in the last hour, 11 to 12. And the Miami Herald is there covering him. He was analyzed stocks in Coral Gables. He had a regular job, but he was a fighter pilot who shot down 9 German planes, and we got him. And he walks into the studio, and I shake his hand, and his hand is sweating. And I know already I got problems, right? His hand is sweating. He sits down. This guy knocked down, went up into the air and 4 German planes. Knocked. I said to him, why did you choose the Air Force? I liked it. Why'd you like flying? I don't know.
Are you gay?
I would have gotten to that. So now I'm squirming. I look up. I got another 45 minutes to go with this guy, and his hands are sweating. So I decided that this guy was panicked. He was totally panicked. So I went to the moment. I said, "Are you nervous?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "I don't know who's listening. So I'm nervous because I don't know who's listening." I said, "If there were enemy planes in the sky right now, 10 enemy planes, and we had 1 plane, would you take it up to fight all 10? He goes, "Yes." And I go, "Why?" He says, "Because I knew they would be there." So what we changed the discussion was from fighting to fear. How do we deal with fear? And I created a monster. By the end of the show, this guy was doing, we dove through the sky, a myriad of clouds. The sun burst out of my window. I could see the whites of their eyes. And now we had to carry him out of the station. Am I done? Why am I done? I got more to tell. That was a proud moment in my life. I created my own monster. But Phyllis, I could do nothing with.
One question before we open to the microphones to the people who most certainly want to ask you.
You can ask about anything.
Much more interesting things than
said about that one time, and never mind.
What part of your craft is acting, or what part of your art is a technique?
Very good question, Mario.
Thank you, sir.
And the answer is, I don't know. I've never been asked that, and it's a very good question. Of course, you must ask it of yourself.
Oh, yes.
We really don't know. In other words, am I being open now, right this second?
That's the question.
Or am I using a technique to be open? Or am I taking everything that's happening in the past and bringing it to this moment? Am I really me, or am I playing Larry King now? And the answer is, I don't know. Because when you do something so many times, I mean, we've done over 50,000 interviews. When I go on the air now, yeah, that's the real me, but it's also me being me. And I'm sure that's true in other professions. You know, when you've done something for a long time, it's hard to separate. I asked an actor once, are you acting, or are you the person you're playing? And it becomes, after a while, you don't know. You know, is Marlon Brando, is he Kowalski?
Yeah.
Or is he Marlon Brando being Kowalski?
Oh, the horror.
And the answer is, they don't know. You don't know when you are. And what you love most is those people willing to take the chance to go to the moment. And that's one thing I've always done. There was a rule we had in broadcasting. That there was a sign up on the door in the control room. If in doubt, leave it out. If you question it, don't use it. I broke that rule. And I think great broadcasters break that rule.
Yeah.
Because if you're in doubt, then you're going to hesitate. And if you hesitate, you become ordinary. And if you're ordinary, you're like everybody else. So I never said to myself, should I ask this question?
There's
I've
still
never done
an
that.
amount of your personal luggage, the knowledge that you've accumulated over these 5 decades of work must be tremendous. Because the variety of topics that you approach on a career like this, it's enormous.
You know a little bit about a lot of things.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm always aware that I know a little bit about a lot of things. I don't know everything. I learn something new every day. And I don't take things for granted. I don't assume, and I never had an agenda. I never went on the air with an agenda.
But the
I was going to accomplish.
The knowledge can be so specific as to, in the short conversation we had before, the king asked me, where was I born? And I said, little town north of here, actually Coimbra. And immediately as we were talking, and this applies to my wife, Nora Chapman-Bazedanote, in which he said, but your accent comes from South Africa, which is extraordinary. Indeed, I studied in South Africa. My wife has roots in South Africa. My whole family has. So that is the kind of perception that's required of a media man.
I think that's inborn. I don't think I had anything to do with it. I don't know where it came from. But I think I always had that I could read a person well. I could read a guest well. I knew where I was going. I was not afraid of the path I was taking. I have a sixth sense about people. And I think that's inborn. I can read people well. And of course, that would be a perfect profession to be in. If you can read people well and can ask questions and leave yourself out of it, you're going to learn an awful lot.
My very final, not personal, but general question in which I have enormous interest in your answer. You were working on 9/11. What occurred to you when we learned so recently about Osama bin Laden's death? And
well, it was a strange night, to put it succinctly. I had just completed a special on Alzheimer's disease, a really wonderful hour we did. We went to an Alzheimer's clinic in Las Vegas. We interviewed patients. We interviewed celebrities who had relatives. And it was scheduled for Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And the Eastern portion played at 8 o'clock, which is 5 o'clock in California. And my kids had a baseball game, so we playing at 5 o'clock. So we invited a bunch of friends to come over to watch the repeat, which is 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. And we're all sitting around, we've got 15 people. My wife ordered a bunch of food. She's serving everyone. The people are anxious. We're waiting. It's 7:45 in the Pacific. Larry King is going to come on with his special on Alzheimer's, and they break in Osama bin Laden. has been killed. So my show was canceled for the night. They're going to repeat it this coming Saturday, by the way. And here we are. I'm not on. My earlier show got on, so if you watched it earlier, you saw it. Waiting for this first special. We're going to do 4 a year. People are over the house to watch it. And instead you get this enormous piece of news that you know is news. I was almost thinking to myself, why don't they just run the Alzheimer's special anyway? You know, Osama bin Laden been killed, we could put that off for an hour. That wasn't going to happen. And then there was, I think, joy throughout the house. Our children watched with fascination because on 9/11, I watched that horror happen in my home. I visited the site 2 weeks later. I went on a tour with the head of the fire department of New York, talking to firemen, policemen, walking amidst the rubble. They had to put that Vicks vapor rub in my nose because she had the smell of death. I went to New York Hospital where I had had my heart surgery some years before to visit burn victims. They set up the burn center at New York Hospital. And to walk all among that, and then to live for the next 75 or so nights only on one topic. That night in New York, to have the mayor on, to relive the moments that he spent that day, and then to 10 years later have Osama bin Laden be killed. And I'm not a revengeful person. I think revenge is a waste of energy and time. But in this case, revenge worked for the almost 3,000 people that got killed, and for the man who did it, who admitted he did it. So justice was served. Had he never admitted it, we never would have had pure judgment without a trial. But we did not have a trial. We didn't need a trial. He admitted it, and we got him.
Will this serve as an atonement period, or do you think there will be some retribution coming from?
I think if they release the pictures, I think the president made a wise decision. If he released
Do you like Obama?
Yeah, I like him. Oh, yeah. I like him. Well, he's a very interesting man. He's very bright. He's very well within himself. There's a lot we don't know about him. The best thing about him, someone told me the other day, is that he is an outstanding, outstanding father. I forgot who told me this, but they have a child who goes to the same school that his children go to.
Oh.
He attends every PTA meeting.
Wow.
He is involved with teachers. When they get emails, he responds personally to emails. His wife, you know, is a very active mother with the school too. And that's wonderful to hear. He's very involved in the life of those two daughters. Because fatherhood and motherhood tells you a lot about people, how they are as people. I like Obama, and the decision not to, if he showed the picture, which is apparently horrific, that would have inspired, I think, those people who are supporters of Osama to get kind of like immediate revenge. But we can't predict what's going to happen. Will there be some, we have to be on terror alerts? There sure could. We can't forecast. Problem with terrorism is the terrorist knows what he's going to do or try to do tonight, and we don't. So he's got the advantage. We have to deal with that advantage, and how do you take it away from him when he's planning it? That's why you can never win the war on terrorism, because there's a terrorist born today.
Yeah.
There's somebody born today who's going to grow up and want to kill people.
Let's turn this into a real town hall, and just for your record, certainly not for mine, you have probably a best cross-section of Portuguese society listening to you here. So I'm sure these illustrious people.
So we have rich Portuguese and poor Portuguese.
There are no rich Portuguese these days, Mr. King. So
yeah, I read about that.
So you'll read even more in years to come. But we'll deal with our own problems.
The International Monetary...
I'll tell you what
didn't the IMF just bail you out?
Well, yeah, I suppose they will.
How much money did they give you?
78 B.
Be like $1 billion.
They haven't given us. They will have to borrow it to give it to us. There are people amply
They
qualified
have,
to
in other
do
words,
it.
they
They are
borrow
going
it
to borrow
to give it to you.
to give it to us.
This is called a bank.
Yeah,
That's right. So they're loaning the country the money.
This is called the dire straits of pecuniary embarrassment, sir. This is what it's
Hold
called.
on, hold on.
Yes.
The dire straits of pecuniary embarrassment.
That's it. And national embarrassment also.
We do. Can we get a translator, please?
Of course.